Hi guys, this is a video about what you can fail for, the common faults that you can fail for on your driving test for the Bay Park. So this is part of a little mini series that I'm doing about common faults why people fail their tests, yeah? So this is going to cover the common faults why you can fail for the Bay Park, which is when you park in Tesco's, Sainsbury's, did I say Waitrose? Trampoline park, anywhere. Your test centre may even have their own bay section, so you may just be going in there. So I'm just going to talk about the common faults that you can fail for on your driving test. Now, if there is anything else that you failed for, then just bung it in the comments, yeah? But these are the common faults where I recognise them, and if somebody got back in my car, I'd be like, yeah, that's really common, yeah? Okay, so the Bay Park. Now, you're going to be marked on your driving test under two categories. There's two boxes. There's one box for control and there's one box for observation, and both of them have to be really good. If you did a fantastic Bay Park of any description and your observations weren't there, you're going to fail for observation anyway. My strong advice is to take it slowly so you've got more time to be able to have an excellent manoeuvre and also excellent observations. Why rush it? I mean, why rush it? I just don't understand why you would rush it, because even if you rush it because you feel extremely talented and you're like, I can do this with my eyes closed because some people are really talented at it, why would you rush it anyway? Because even if you do rush it, you're going to be back on the road doing more driving in that 38 minutes that it legally has to be. Your test has to be 38 to 40 minutes. If you're back on the road because you've rushed a manoeuvre, then you're back on the road and then you can fail for something else. Why don't you just take your time anyway? Just take your time. Now, I can't put a time on it because I don't know what hazards are around. Sometimes you may have to wait for a disabled person to walk behind your car. I don't know. But let's just say it ranges from 0 to 2.5 to 3 minutes. I don't know. Depends on the hazards, yeah? If there's no hazards around, then 3 minutes would be extortionate and wrong. But let's just say it ranges from that. Okay, so if you're somebody who's rushing through it and takes 10 to 15 seconds to do it and it's great, then okay, great. But now you're on the road again, and maybe somebody who feels like they're not very good at the Bay Park can take all of that time, burn some time off their test, and they're not back on the road and they're allowed to. Okay, anyway, moving swiftly on, right? So you've got your control and observation boxes. Both of them have to be good, but if the observations are bad, you can fail immediately. Yeah, I know you can get minors on observations because it would be weak, but weak, so you get minors. But if the observations are not there, blind spots at certain times, which I'll talk about in a minute, and back window, you're going to fail, okay? But the manoeuvre, the control, the accuracy of it, right, that can be fixed up to 3 times. So it's almost more important for you to look after your observations than the manoeuvre in a weird sort of a way, because your manoeuvre can be fixed, okay, 3 times. Some people say, is it all right if I touch the lines? Do you know what? Yes. If you touch the lines and there's no other parked cars in the other bays, yeah, we don't teach it like that, but if you do touch the lines and you're blatantly all over them, as long as you keep calm and you think to yourself, Jesus, I've completely screwed this up, then you just check everything and do some fixing points, do some saving points that I call them. Go out and come back in. As long as you get it within 3, I know that you've blatantly been in a car with somebody who has their license and they fixed their manoeuvre. Of course you have, because we're human, right? So we all have to fix our manoeuvres. It's totally normal. Your examiner fixes their manoeuvres, yeah? I dated one once and he had loads of like little things going on. I'd be like, oh, that's the minor, like you're just pulling his leg about it, But seriously, like you don't have to do it first time, but your manoeuvre observations have to be amazing. Common faults that you can fail for observation is not checking your blind spot when you go in. Forward bay, okay, you might go up, let's just say you're doing the one on the right, you've kept away from it. Ideally speaking, you'd be far away from it, reminiscent to a right turn where you give way to oncoming people before you go in. You'd go up, yeah, carefully. And before you go in, whatever reference point you're using, or if you're organically going in, you must check your blind spot before you go in. Because if there's any space next to you, then people will be using that to overtake you. Yes, you might be using a signal, which I do teach. Yeah, I want to go into that bay, so you're using a signal. But you need to check, because people don't care about signals in a car park. They just want their donut, and they don't care about your signal. They'll overtake you anyway, or a pedestrian won't be looking. Yeah, honestly, pedestrians walking around in those places, they lose their minds, right? I remember when I went to I was teaching motorway lessons, and we kept on going into service stations over and over again. And one, I think we stopped. I think my student actually wanted to go to the toilet, right? So anyway, we did a bay park beautifully. And then I was like literally slagging off the pedestrians. I was like, oh, look at these guys just like walking around the place like they own it, taking up the... And then as soon as we parked and we got out, I started walking in the street and I burst into laughter. And my student was like, what are you laughing about? And I was like, you know, I've just been slagging off all those pedestrians. Yes, it's kind of me now. Like, it's kind of us now. Like, you just turn into the idiot, you know, you're not thinking properly. So when you go into these on your driving test, you must check. Yeah. Another example is when I was doing a left bay myself. I went into a car park. I was doing a pull into the left. So I checked my right blind spot. I moved over to the right before going into my left bay, because you need to create that space, which is called a swan neck. And then I needed to check my left blind spot before going in. And thank God I did, because a bike just went past me. And I remember saying aloud in the car all by myself, you are so lucky that I'm a driving instructor. You are so lucky that I'm a driving instructor, because I know that people would not have checked that blind spot. I know it because I see it all the time. They would have just gone in, and I swear I would have taken out the bike. There is no question I would have taken out the bike. There was another situation when one of my students was turning left major to minor once, and we were in traffic jam. She went mirror signal, which is lovely, but then we were in the traffic jam for some time before we got to the left turn, and because time had passed, we needed to do another check. She didn't, I did, and there was a bike coming up. It all happened quite quickly. This was actually before it was written in the highway code about the bikes at the front, at the H3 rule about giving way to bikes. Giving way to bikes, can you see him? I don't know. Anyway, giving way to bikes, right? But he was going to go past us on the left, and in the highway code now says that they've got priority anyway. But we would have taken him off the bike. So we must check the blind spots like this before going in forward. Now, crossing lines on your driving, going over on your driving test, do you know what? Yeah, if you cross the lines, as long as there's no other cars in the other bays, obviously, whatever, okay, as long as your observations are amazing, if you've crossed the lines and you're even on the line, okay, yeah, it's not gone well, has it? However, you've got 3 fixes now. So if you check everything, make sure it's all right, reverse back, look out the back window so you're protecting all your observations, and go back in, or vice versa, obviously. But just make sure your observations are good. Keep calm. You've got 3 fixes, 3 saving points. You can go out. I call them saving points. It's just fixing, yeah? Go out. Learn how to get it wrong and do it properly. So important. Now, the examiner is only your observer, okay? That's it. He doesn't have to stop you from hitting walls, hitting posts. He doesn't have to do anything. He might do, because of like the empathy may take over. But I've been a driving instructor for 23 years. I've seen examiners come back and they've hit people's mirrors. I've heard stories about them allowing them to drive into walls. They're your observer. If an examiner stops you from hitting a wall or a post, you're lucky. You've had an examiner who can't stomach that. If you're turning right and you're going to hit the curb, they won't stop you. It may completely bust out your alignment. If they can see you're about to go through a pothole, they won't stop you. It may completely bust your alignment, burst your wheel. damage your tyre itself. Yeah, they're your observer. Okay, you may have beepers on the back of the car to help you go backwards, but you may not have them forward. Okay, so be very, very, very careful. Make sure your clutch control is amazing for these maneuvers. Yeah. What else could I say about driving into a bay? Because we've said that you can cross the lines. None of us are going to teach you to go over the lines, obviously. We're going to try and get you to go in perfectly. Yeah. But if you do go over the line, it's cool, man. It's cool. Don't worry about it. You know, as long as you end up within the lines at the end, you have to end up within the lines. If you're on the line, I would be careful, because apparently your wheel can just be like halfway on the white line. But I don't know whether we should leave it. I don't know whether we should chance that. If you are on the line, or you think that your position is dodgy, when you stop, it's likely, if the examiner has not accepted it, that the examiner will say, "Are you finished?" ? That normally isn't a very good thing to hear. Are you finished? That gives you an opportunity to say, no, of course not. I've only just started. Yeah? If they look at it and go, "Thank you, drive on when you're ready," that means they've accepted it. Okay? So feel into the body language of the situation. Okay? If they say, "Are you finished?" and it's flipping perfect, then you would obviously say yes. But it's highly doubtful. Why would they waste your time? If you're in the line, they're going to look at it and go, "Thank you, drive on when you're ready." Yeah. If they think there's something dodgy about it, they're going to say, "Are you finished?" And if you say yes, and it's still dodgy, they may say, "Okay, handbrake neutral. I'm going to get out the car and walk around the car." I call it the walk of shame. Will you survive the walk of shame? Is your car within the lines? Yes, you may be closer to one of the lines and have space on the other side. And yeah, in real life, you might want to be more centre, so people are less likely to hit your door, or vice versa, or you can get out of the car. But if you're in the line, that's a pass. Yeah, even if you're like right next to it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to. Is this? No, that's probably a bit rude. Reversing into the bay. Okay, so you would be next to the bay. Yeah, on the left hand side if you're doing the 90-degree angle method, or you can do the 45. Again, if you're doing the 45, you have to check your blind spot very thoroughly first. Signal at this stage, I would say, is more optional. Does somebody need it? Are you going to need to help somebody with that? I think pulling into a bay, so much more likely that you need to signal, because like they're like, "Why are you? Where are you going? What are you doing? You're in a weird position. Yeah, what was going on?" Reversing, and I think it's a bit more obvious, especially to the people behind, because you've got your white lights on. Yeah, but the people in front, yeah, okay. Do you know what? If you want to use a signal, that's fine. Yeah, does somebody need it? Bung your signal on. Whatever method you're doing, you must check all your blind spots, especially before the point of turn, which we've kind of covered already. Before you turn the steering wheel, you're going to make an angle, part of the car is going to go in a weird direction. You must make sure that the blind spot to that direction is going to be checked. So if you're going into the left bay and you're steering to the left, you must check your right side, because the front of your car is going to go to the right. So check to see if it's okay, blind spot. And then when you're reversing, look out the back window. For most of the time you are reversing, okay? Like I said in my other video, if you're going backwards, you need to look backwards. If you're going forwards, you need to look forwards. Otherwise it's a bit weird, isn't it? If you're going forwards and then your driving instructor says, "Okay, can you look out the back window now for 30 to 60 seconds? You'd be like, no, because I'm driving forward. You'd think we were crazy. But if we're reversing, for some reason, the students now think that they can look forward. No, the mirrors are not good enough. The examiner doesn't, even if you took all of the mirrors away for observation, that shouldn't matter. I know that there's reference points in these mirrors, but it shouldn't matter for observation, because you can look all the way around like this. Now, obviously you can use the mirrors as well, but he does want you to look out the back window when you're reversing. Okay, so back window, make sure you're protecting these observations more so than the maneuver itself, because it can be fixed 3 times. If you reverse into a bay and it needs fixing, you can go forward. Yeah, look at my videos of how to fix a maneuver if you need them, but as long as you get within the lines, like I just said on the other, it's fine. Yeah. What else could I cover in this? I've got voices behind me now. What else could I cover in this? Just give me a moment. I've spoken about him not stopping you from hitting things unless he's got empathy for it. I feel like I've missed something. Just bear with me. Can you get out of the car? I've heard mixed feelings about this. Yeah, I've heard that if you ask that you can get out of the car. I've heard some examiners say no about this. If you do that, then it's that you can't. But I've had mixed reviews about that. So just use your mirrors. Yeah, because I don't actually, I've been a driving instructor for a long time, and I've sat in cars where they're saying, can I just get out and have a look? And the examiner's like, no, you can't. Yeah. And then I've had other examiners just like, when my students like, can I open the door and look? They're like, yes. So I don't even know, maybe a driving examiner can like say something about that. Try and just use your mirrors to see what your position is like. If you get those small round mirrors on your mirrors, you can like fit into the smallest little gap ever. It's amazing. They're so good. I call it the magic mirror. Just put on those small mirrors and then you can see everything. It's just so easy. There is no method that is set that the examiner wants to see. There is no method. So whoever is teaching you may have very different ways of teaching you. So don't worry about your method being different to your mates or something like that. You can go in however you like, yeah, on forward and reverse. It's cool, as long as your observations and your control is good. It can be a problem if you don't change it into the correct gear. That can be a problem. It depends on how much space you cover. So if you put it into first gear and you thought it was reverse or vice versa, it depends on how much you move. If you move a significant amount and a car is in danger, that can be a problem. If it's just a little bit, then you might be fine. If you leave the handbrake on and then it makes the alarm, yeah, you're looking at a minor for that only. It's just a minor if that happens. You can't change your bay selection. So basically, if you've started to go into one bay and the examiner can see which one you've started to go into, you can't change bays. You have to go into the one that you chose at the beginning. You can't change bays. If somebody parks in the bay that you're trying to get into, which is rare, but it can happen, that's the only time that you'd be able to change bays, obviously. If you try and enter a bay where there is already a car, obviously that is a problem, but again, that would go under your fixing, so you'd be able to fix it. If there is a car that's very closely parked to a line in a bay, I wouldn't park next to that car unless you absolutely have to, because you've got less space and less room for error. So if the public have like parked on the line, I really would choose a different bay. I think it's probably a good idea if you don't park near cars on your test, unless you really like it as a reference point because you've got room for error, you know, and there's less problems to be able to arise. You can park next to a car, but try and make your test as easy for you as possible. So it depends on, you know, what you like. I know that your driving instructor would have taught you how to park next to a car, obviously, and open bays, clearly, because you need to learn it from lots of different angles and respects. But on your driving test, it may be better for you to park into an open and empty bay rather than next to a car, just in case, you know. Why make it harder for yourself? If you stall on your driving whilst you're doing your manoeuvre, it's going to go down as a minor, yeah. Unless you stall and it is out of control and then you nearly hit the wall or something like that, or nearly hit the post. If you don't park in the bay enough, this can be a problem. So you do need to go into the bay enough, either forward or reverse, so the car is in the bay. Be very careful of walls and posts and things like that, but you do need to make sure that the car is in the bay and parked properly at the end. That's another thing that can be a problem. I think I may have got a lot there, but I've tried really hard to get everything there for you. I hope that you understand from this video that you need to protect your observations kind of more so than the maneuver itself, because the maneuver can be fixed. I strongly recommend that you fluff up your maneuver many times with your instructor, get it wrong, know how to fix it, go forward, fix it and go back in. Make sure that you do that. Park next to cars and not next to cars in your training, and then when it comes to actually doing your test, it might be better and less stressful for you to park without a car. But you can do whatever you like. It's your test. If you find it easier to park next to a car, clearly do that. But look after those observations, make sure it's really safe. And if it goes wrong, just know that you've got 3 fixes. As long as those observations are amazing, you're totally allowed to do that. It's cool. All right, guys, so I really hope this bit of information has helped you today, and I'll see you on the next video.